Good afternoon. Welcome to the Business of Life in Black and White with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Terrence Stevens.
Howdy.
Hey, buddy. We are attempting to make an interesting podcast about all things real estate and mortgage, but also a bunch of other stuff too. Terrence and I obviously look a little bit different and have a little bit different life experiences, and we have a tendency to kind of lean on each other and learn from each other. It's always fun conversation, so we decided to share it. So hopefully at least somebody watches this. And like I said last episode, we took a little bit of the summer off so the two of us could kind of work on some stuff we were working on, but we are back in action. And just in time, interest rates have kind of plummeted here in the last week or two, and the market seems to have turned. So we wanted to have a little bit of a conversation, Mr. Stevens, about selling and buying in the winter. Most people, hey, I'm going to wait for the spring to sell my house. I'll get more money out of it, blah, blah, blah. Prevailing strategy, but I think this year might be a little bit different. So love to start there and hear your take.
Yeah. Even on that, right? I think it's always those who are trying to predict what life will do, or hey, and even on that note, I'll sell when I can get a little bit more money out of it. And although that could end up being true, if you're also aiming to buy, which is 90% of the people selling, there's a transition phase there, then you too are caught on the other side of a market that has more buyers, less inventory, rates are who knows where, and you're in a competitive market. So if you're willing to dish it, you've got to be willing to take it, which is why I think a lot of people strategically move into a market that they know they can have a bit more leniency and flexibility in. And that is our fourth quarter market. That is our October, November, December market, where I would like to say the best deals are done. So while those clam up and try to stay warm, those who want to find a great deal and still get activity out of those who understand strategy, that they look to aim to sell in this fourth quarter and buy before the rush. And here in Georgia, the best part is it's never too cold. Never too cold for you to go buy another home or sell yours. People are outside no matter which season it is here in Georgia, and all the way through Christmas, because I've had plenty of 75-degree Christmases here in Georgia.
Amen, brother. Welcome to the South. So on our side, really, it's the buzz phrase is kind of the pent up demand, right? You've got a bunch of folks that didn't have to move, so they decided not to in the last couple of years when interest rates were pretty high, and a lot of folks just kind of sitting on the sidelines. You got a big millennial population that's been kind of sitting on the sidelines for some part. So you got all these people that otherwise would have potentially moved. Now all of a sudden we're peddling rates in the high fives, and like you said, you're getting into that fourth quarter, right? I mean, you either do it now, take a decent rate, and then refinance later, or you wait till the spring, and yeah, you might get 5% instead of 6%, but you're also going to pay potentially $50,000 to $100,000 more in a sales price by waiting for that competitive market, right?
Because what you've essentially done in that time period, some people think time is on their side. Well, in reality, any seller who's looking to sell is going to look at the last 6 months of comps. And so if indeed there was activity in your market, in your search criteria in the last 6 months, that home that might have sold for 520 might have sold for 540. And now that next home is not going to list for 520. They're going to list for 540 and get an upgrade out of that price. And so what you've done on the other side is given an error, or you've given the opportunity for a growth margin, okay, and sales price. And the lower the rates get, that's what's going to happen. There's more buyers looking to make this thing happen for them, and in that case, they're going to drive up the price. People think prices have evened out. Okay, will they continue to plummet? I have no magic crystal ball, but I'm going to tell you no, especially in Metro Atlanta, especially in areas of the suburb. We are seeing still a great push to be in this city. And this is stemming all the way back prior to COVID. That was the projection for the Metro Atlanta area. There are millions of people aiming to be here. and they're all not looking to rent. They are looking to make this home, and for good reason.
I like it. So, you're always diligent and excellent at setting a plan with your clients. I've been through some of your client meetings, and you're always one of my faves with the way that you kind of set people up and help them understand the path forward and just kind of how to make a wise choice. I mean, what are the conversations you're having now with your clients, particularly just kind of how you're setting them up to make a good decision here in the next quarter?
And my bread and butter has been and will not change. If you know me, if you are my client or you want to be my client, be prepared to hear buy for your lifestyle. Okay. It's nothing is going to change about that secret sauce. I frankly, just to share a quick story, I had a client couple that bought 2 years ago. They sold their house pretty far. They just had a kid, and so they decided that they needed to be their lifestyle changed. They had the kid right after they bought the house, and then realized that we need to be closer to some of our help. We need to be closer to family, and that is on the complete opposite of town, opposite side of town. And so not only were they able to sell the house that they purchased, but they were able to buy again closer to the help. Nobody knew what was going on in the background but God, because frankly, life happened again. And one of those clients was passed away. And so now, because of the decision made, that her lifestyle changed and she gave room for her lifestyle to change. So yes, a widow now, but closer to her help, has a phenomenal house that she purchased. And it has been a year plus since she purchased the house, almost going on 2. So there's an opportunity there to always set yourself up when you buy for the idea and the experience that this is what life is right now. This is what my life could be projected to be in the next 3 to 5 years. Let me make a smart decision for the now, and knowing that there might be an upgrade or some type of linear move in the next 3 to 5 year span. Don't overthink this thing. Nobody, for the most part, is buying their forever home right now. But you have to make smart decisions so you can get to that forever home status.
Okay, so back to kind of the Q4 scenario. This Q4 obviously looks a little different than some other years because we've got an election baked in here too.
Yeah.
Perhaps those are just the questions I get 10,000 times a day, but enlighten me on your side. I mean, do you have clients kind of making some decisions of waiting and seeing until they see what happens election-wise as well?
Every conversation I have is different. And that shows me the motivation for every single person, right? It shows me where your mind is ticking at. And I had a client the other day based on some market statistics that my automation system sends out. And he's like, is this true for my area? Are you seeing a decline in sales price? And before I could check the data and double check, I'm going to say, yeah, dude. Okay. He's like, well, we're not planning on moving or selling anytime soon, but these statistics, like, tell me what you think about the market. And so I think at the end of the day, there are questions surrounding not only the time period we're in, there's also a sense of relief. When I hear some of my clients who are getting refis, we were in the 7% and now we're looking to get down in the 5%. That makes a huge difference. Just yesterday, hey, I'm going to love seeing some of that extra money in my pocket. I loved hearing that, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's never perfect when you do it. I bought it 4.5 when I purchased my first house. People are begging for that rate right now, okay? But I was able to, through time and patience and staying in the house, I was able to get it down to a 2.75. And so you have to prepare yourself, no matter what you do, to make the moves in a season like this where you have no idea what's happening. Don't just sit on what you have. Be creative. Think about plan A, plan B, plan C, and whenever it's time to execute, execute. Write it down. Write it down. Okay. Make it make sense to yourself. Don't just say it out loud. Write it down somewhere. Get with your professionals. Ask questions. We will give you subjective. We will give you some subjective information as best as we can, because this is our expertise. But at the end of the day, think about what strategically works for you.
I like it. So Q4, I mean, we should at least consider selling and buying before the heavy spring market. Rates are a little bit lower. We can beat a little bit of the push. Regardless of who wins and loses the election, the United States is probably not going to burn to the ground the day after, although it might not be as true as it used to be, but still, right? It's something out of our control. And to your point, what people can control is making a good decision for them and the timing, and Q4 is not necessarily a bad time to make that decision, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, none of us can predict the future. What we do know is, just like any other election cycle, just like any other cycle of rates, just like any other time period, what goes up must come down, what comes down goes up. There's just a cycle in all of this thing. And so I will often tell people, you have to get in where you fit in, wherever that might be during that time period, but don't just wait on the sideline, because you're not getting in the game, right? You have to get in the game wherever you fit in, whatever quarter that might be. If that's first and second quarter because of some circumstances that fit into your life, there's not a person who should be able to argue with that. You know best what your timing and your circumstances are, but do not sit on the sideline. If first quarter is it, game plan now. If third quarter is, game plan now. So never find yourself sitting on the sideline. And I think the best of us who do understand what this thing means in investment, they're always playing the game.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and I know you've distanced yourself a little bit from the world of NFL football, but you know what the Cowboys did this year with their two big guys, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, and just letting them, letting contract negotiations drag out, and then every single one of those other wide receivers signed this giant contract. And right before the season, it's like, oh, we got no choice now. Let this thing linger on for 4 months, and the price tags, gone up 50%.
That's it.
There they are, now they got to pay the kid. So
yeah, man, and doubling it up in the sense of sports, this is a game of inches, right? This is a game of minutes. This is a game of days. This is a game of months. It is a game nonetheless. And so wherever you fit in, make sure that you are getting your values worth, and then understand that you will be dealing with the same expectations on the other side. And so if this goes for buyers and sellers, if you want top dollar for your home and you've kept it in great condition through the years that you've owned it, please understand that somebody else wants top dollar for their home who's kept it in great condition. If that is your experience, if that is your expectation, then being right smack dab in the middle of this thing is the most fair thing you can do to help yourself out in this market. Don't have expectations for one side and lack them on the other. As you are a seller, you will more than likely be a buyer. And if you are a buyer, at some point, you will be a seller. And that is the cycle or the circle of real estate life. So please do yourself a favor. Be kind, be fair, and understand this is a two-way street.
that's a good point, right? Because we've seen and you kind of alluded to it earlier, we've seen the market stats shift, right? Atlanta has the longest standing inventory now that we've had in 2 years. Right? Even though it's only 4 or 5 months or whatever it is still. But it hasn't been like that for 2 years, right? Yeah. So how do you help? You kind of just alluded to it. How do you help your sellers understand that, hey, this isn't 2 years ago, you don't get to do whatever you want? And how do you help your buyers understand, hey,
let me tell you, this has been one of the hardest tasks of this business. And I actually talked to one of my mentors yesterday, and she said those agents who do not survive this business are those who don't understand adaptation. You have to adapt to the times. And so if a colleague that I trust, who is one of the top real estate agents in the state by far, says, I'm doing things like getting back to the basics. And that rings a bell in my head, because her and I were sharing that you got to get back to the basics of what real estate really is before social media and before. So I'll share the same thing with my buyers and my sellers. Get back to the basics. Don't give don't do too much to your home or think too little of your home that you don't need staging, that you don't need painting touch-ups and keeping up with your exterior and interior maintenance. That is the upkeep that will sell your house in a market that is becoming dominated by new construction sales, right? Let's not forget that Atlanta has a heavy new construction presence. And so those who are looking to buy and sell and not new construction, what is going to make your house compete with those who are in the market who can have big and brand new and beautiful? You have to do the little things. Get back to the basics of real marketing, real presentation, and accurate pricing. Not Zillow pricing, not Realtor.com. Accurate pricing from your comparative market analysis from your professional real estate agents. That's it. You can try to do this thing yourself, and God bless, but understand that we all are getting back to the basics of a balanced market. People ask all the time, is this a buyer's market or a seller's market? I would like to say we are smack dab right in the middle of balance. Rates are higher than people want to have them, and sellers are maybe getting tired with the space that they've had, and so they want to make some moves, but everybody's got decisions to make, and negotiations are back on the table more than they ever have been. We are right in the middle, and this is not about numericals or negotiation. This is about people. The human brain is right stuck in the middle. So do yourself the favor. Wear both hats.
What do they say? Technically, a balanced market is like 6 months worth of inventory, right? Isn't that the generalized kind of figure? So I mean,
we're at 4.5.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting there, and again, Atlanta is a completely different place than a lot of these metro markets. We are expecting an increase in population. It is not a we're even killed, and we're trying to find more ways to fit more people. And so understand that there are people who are coming from far and wide, maybe just not those in Atlanta. We had during the years of COVID, I would like to say Atlanta had one of the greatest migrations in my time of being in the business, where everybody was coming out to explore what Georgia really could be, and they had jobs in New York and Texas and California. That was a migration here, and now those people have gotten settled in and might realize that we want to be in a different city, or there's a different area that we've truly gotten to explore. We want to go from Sandy Springs to Marietta or Decatur to Mableton. There is a lot of movement bound to happen. So where do you fit in?
Love it. Love it, love it. I think it's going to, I think it's actually going to be a big quarter. It's going to be a big quarter. I think there's a lot of movement going on. We've seen it on our side. And again, the refinances help that, but you know, we've seen an uptick, and it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the year plays out, which is good. I think everybody like you and I could use a nice little bump. So
yes, sir.
We'll take it. All right, that's enough of the serious talk. I did not come up with a fun question for you today. Let's see.
It's all right.
Okay, so I can't remember if I told you this last night or not, but did I tell you about our new pet?
Pets.
Yeah, okay. All right, so in light of that, and I know you don't have kids, so I'm gonna try to frame this in a way that gives you the most range to answer it. What is the I'll use this term loosely. What's the craziest pet you or someone that you have ever shared a residence with has ever shown up with? Brought home?
I brought home a small kitten when I was a kid, because my mom would not let me get a dog. And so one of my neighbors, I might have been the age 8, 9, 10, something like that. My mom just forbid pets at the house. I had hermit crabs and fish that I killed and all that other stuff. But there was this baby kitten, and I ran home with the kitten. I begged my mom, mom, can I have this kitten? And I named the cat Shadow because my mom let me keep it, but the cat would follow me everywhere. I mean, would not let me out of my sight. And I'm glad because my mom hated cats, but she was like, as long as the thing stays next to you and you change the litter box. And so Shadow was the craziest thing just because I didn't ask. It was one of those moments where it was better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And you always can sucker a parent into a pet if you show it its youngest form.
Well played, sir. That's an excellent segue into the 4 chicks that were at my house when we got home from wherever we were Saturday night or something. And my 17-year-old, about to be 17-year-old tomorrow, who I affectionately refer to as Huckleberry Finn, brought home 4 chicks and had built an entire pen for them in my workshop. And yeah, it's so we're in full little chicken
Chick
territory
mode.
these days.
Are they noisy?
They're not noisy. I mean, again, they sleep, they're in the shed here outside all the time, so you can't hear them even if they were. They're starting to make a little chirping noise or whatever and fly just a touch, kind of move around via their wings a little bit.
Yeah.
Mommy didn't kill them, so all's right in the world for now.
Love that. Love that. Well, good. Keep me updated on that.
All right, get back to the basics, brother. Let's go kill Q4.
Let's do it. Back to the basics.
Bye, everybody.
We're out. Bye.